that this program continue to help your son live out the true dreams that God truly has designed for them.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to CelebrateRecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter, Andrew Farr, a call at 615-490-5715.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, you're joining Conversation with Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got a unique show tonight. It's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in the world. And if it wasn't for fathers, we wouldn't be here. You ever thought about that?
Oh, yeah.
Fathers play an important role. I don't think we get enough credit. You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? It's all like Mother's Day and all this other stuff. It's finally we get one day. You know. Anyways, so this is our day, guys. This is our day.
I got a happy Uncle's Day from the folks in the band, but
a what?
I said I got a happy Uncle's Day from the band at Parkway, but shout out to them. But yeah, no, I agree.
Before we get started, we're going to talk about the importance of fathers, male role models. I think it's a crisis in this country, and to be honest with you, I think I'm the very few of elected officials that even talk about this. And I know that people may not like me saying that, but I'll just challenge you. I'll challenge what's it called, fact checkers? Is that what they call them, fact checkers? Yeah. To just check the facts and see if any school boards, any county commissions, any city councils, any mayors have ever taken a position on the crisis, the epidemic of the lack of fathers. America has the strongest gap in lack of fathers in any country on the face of the earth. We also incarcerate the most people on the face of the earth. There's a direct correlation between the fatherless and prison population, and suicide and depression and addiction and alcoholism and crime. So it's a serious issue that no one seems to want to challenge, and no one seems to really want to make a difference on it. You know, it's just really sad. But before we get into this, you know, there was something in the news that just breaks my heart. It was a young lady that we knew, young 29-year-old girl, Taylor Cooley, and it was reported as Powell, that they found her in the Cumberland River, found, I guess, her foot or her leg, and we knew that girl for many years. She had some problems, like a lot of young people do, and it's just it's not just heartbreak, it's heart-wrenching, and so many families are dealing with this. So prayers to Taylor's family, and it just shows the need for mental health. And you know, it's just sad. My wife showed me the text. Well, she's seen Nick Barris, Channel 5 had reported on it, and me and the little girl shared a birthday. One of the few people that's got my birthday, January the 11th, and you know, it's just heart-wrenching. A lot of us have went through these hardships. I know Roger has went through hardships like this, losing somebody. But anyway, just pray for the family of Taylor, and not sure exactly the circumstances, but really it just confirms the need for mental health and more mental health providers and all in our culture. But Roger Thomas, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, man.
Yeah.
I guess I had a pretty good Father's Day.
Did you?
Till I was in the pool, and I think I was getting rained on about the same time your wife got rained on doing yard work.
Did you see what she said?
One square block, and I think it was our block.
You know,
but, yeah.
It hit our house like a deluge, man.
You know, my wife come in, and she was we had an in-ground pool. We had it all tore out about 2 years ago. It was about 40-something year old pool. She got this small pool, and she'd been out there working on it and all, and she comes in, and I hear her say, she's like, "That's just a mess." She was getting all upset. She said, "Look, one area," and it was the weather radar, and it showed everything from Tullahoma, Shelville, McMinnville, Hendersonville, and it showed Smyrna, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It had the rain going all over Smyrna. And to me, it was just funny.
Chicken pike.
I was going to my sister's house, and came over 24, going over there near Blackman, and I saw way off in the distance, just like, all the while, it's like, oh man, what's going on over there? And they said, oh, just a one little bitty cell over Smyrna.
Well, what was funny though,
she's a worker.
Oh, your wife.
She is,
that
man.
is no joke. I cut down a few little trees the other day. She was out there dragging it stuff.
Oh,
out
thank
the
you
way.
for helping.
Oh man,
us.
wow.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no
we
man. Y'all friends. I don't.
What's that called? Cranberry. What's that?
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe
myrtle.
Yeah, we made some walking sticks. Did you keep a couple
We kept
walking
you.
sticks so I could race Mr. Jones? You know, have my
Yeah,
own
Mr.
walking
Jones,
stick.
95-year-old Mr. Jones that outrun you on the steps coming up here.
Yeah,
That's why I got a
heard
free pass for Crux Fitness, 7-day free pass. First caller, WGNS, 615-893. 1450 wins a 7-day pass. Connor, if they call. Seriously, I got a couple passes here.
Well, Mike is going to give a couple shout outs. You know, I try to every week, and to get gets people listening. You know, if you give them a little shout out, they're going to listen to it.
Yeah, your Aunt Donna's listening, ain't she?
Oh yeah, she is today. She all right. My sister, and I got.
How old's your aunt again?
She's 96 now.
Oh,
lives
really?
on her own. Yeah.
Wow,
Lives
that's
on her
awesome.
own, and
That's awesome.
I call her every day. I went by the other day and cleaned off her porch a little bit where cobwebs, things like that, and I'll do that for her. But I call her every day. She texts me every day, and I call her every.
She texts?
Uh huh. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I know some 50-years-old how to do that.
Yeah. Well, I barely do, but anyway, I had folk come by the other day, and they're RVers, okay.
Yeah.
Really nice people, and they were talking it up. That's what. And I said, how long y'all gonna be here? Tuesday? And I said, man, I'll holler your name out on the radio. You know what I'm saying? I always have to check when you do this stuff.
Oh man, I don't care.
And anyway,
just don't use profanity like Marty Luffman.
Yeah, but
or slang words that hadn't been used since the 50s.
Yeah, but Dennis and Debbie, I know, but Debbie Emil and Phil and Karen Perkins, really great couples there. And anyway, I want to give my son a shout out for his birthday.
Oh, it's birthday day.
Yeah, he's
birthday.
47 today. And
happy birthday.
And
what's his name?
Steve.
Steve, okay.
Yeah, he's from my first marriage. You know, Michael passed away, of course, but this is Steve, my oldest one, and my grandson. You know, happy Father's Day to him, and which made me a great granddad.
Yeah.
And
great.
Yeah, I got a 7-year-old great granddaughter.
Wow,
that's crazy.
And,
how old a fella are you?
He knows. I graduated his sister. He does the math. He knows how old I am.
Yeah, he tells me my sister. Can I say it on the radio?
Yeah.
He's like, man, your sister was so good looking. I was like, I don't want to hear this about my sister.
High school, junior high, man.
Well, I remember I was like
50
5
years
and
ago.
all the guys whistling out. I used to get mad as a little boy.
Oh, yeah, I did it too with guys come over our house, my sisters, and they're like you.
Just awkward.
Yeah, guys coming over and you kind of would be beehole to them, really like, man,
get out of here, jerk.
Yeah, especially some of them you didn't really care about or heard some things about, get out of here, man.
I know. But I love my sister, Sister Cindy.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, though, man, but all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you mentioned you lost your son. Is that something you care to offer advice for other folks that kind of like this family that just went through what they're going through right now?
Well, in my case, I'm kind of like Chuck, okay? How you kind of have to deal with it. You learn the way to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I did. I drank heavy about 3 months. I just couldn't stand it. But, talking to other people. You can't just sit in the corner, sit in the recliner and think.
Man.
You can't think. You got to be around people. And if you work, that sounds bad, but go right back to work.
Yeah.
It keeps you occupied. You want to keep your mind clear. But every day I think of it, man. Every day.
Yep. Guy that I have a lot of respect for, my buddy Mark Lewis, and I didn't know if his wife Beth was going to let him out of the house since his Father's Day. And
well, he wears pants in the house. He just told us he did.
Pants.
I got a joke to you, but I can't tell it on the air.
You can't. But Mark heads up our Men of Hope Bible study. We're up to 170 something guys on the rolls.
Yeah.
Man, we got it. And I don't even go to church there, but I enjoy it. It's just. I don't know, y'all got Mike Saranosky and
Nick Corbett cooks for us, man.
Cooks and I guess Chuck Isbell cooks a little bit, doesn't he?
He helps out. He's my coffee man. He's the coffee man.
Coffee, and it just gets me up early, gets me out of the house, and I enjoy it. And one thing about you with your engineering background, at 9 o'clock, bam, we're out of there.
That's right. I mean, industrial engineering goes a long way, man. Let's get out of there.
You may have somebody that's got something going on that needs some attention and prayer, and you're compassionate about others' needs. How do you keep up, Mark, with all with everything you got going on? How do you make it all come together, man?
Well, it's really about time management. I hate to say that, but it is. You find time to do what's important to you most times. So that's a priority to me, and that's something that. You and a guy named Chris Fagino was the one who helped us start that group. You guys pressured me into doing it and talking about strong arming somebody.
Strong. I know we're not strong arming. How big a fella are you, anyway?
I'm big enough, about 6'3", and I probably go 300 pounds right now, 290.
What's the heaviest you ever been?
I got close to 400 at one time.
Are you serious?
Is that when you're playing ball?
No, I played ball about 295.
Okay.
What was that story you shared at the Bible study? To me, it was funny because. Y'all played? You played for Carthage, right? It was Carthage.
No, son. No.
Who was it?
I played for Gordonsville High School.
Oh, Gordonsville.
And I played ball up at Tennessee Tech too.
And y'all were playing some team, and y'all thought y'all were tough guys, and then you went up against some team. Who was it you talked about?
We went out and played. Well, it depends on which one you want to talk about. We went out and played University of Tulsa the first time.
Some guy picked you up and threw you.
Yeah, that was. I was probably 285 then, and I was a pretty strong cat, man. And we got out there and. Some guy looked like they let him out on prison release is what he looked like to me, And he picked
on parole.
Me up. He may have been. He slung me around like a rag doll that first play. I said, after that, my nose never got more than about 24 inches off the ground the whole day.
Wow.
I didn't let him do that to me no more,
Yeah. But you enjoy football. You enjoy coaching and all that.
Yeah. I coached 13 years in the youth football league, and the thing that I probably enjoyed most about that is look back to our topic a little bit today is that I've seen a lot of young men come through there that there was no daddy in sight. Mama brought them over there, you know, and
dropped them off and then come back,
That's
pick
right.
them up, and
That's
you're
right.
the daddy. I mean, you
That's
really
right.
are.
We became those, you know, 3 nights a week, and on Saturdays, man, we got to pour into those kids' lives. And, you know, we had people like John Bell and Pat Hood and a guy named Brian Killen and Steve Sigmund. We got out there and coached, and we shared, you know, we really wanted to share a lot more about life than football. But those two, again, the game of football and life are very intertwined, you know, because sometimes you get your butt kicked and you got to get back up and go get it again tomorrow, you know, and sometimes you lose a game and you shouldn't have, and just, it's life, man. Sometimes we lose things we don't want to lose, and we just have to get up and keep on going sometimes, and that's what football teaches people. And I'm not saying it's a perfect game by no means. It's got its flaws, but for how it was designed and what it does for a character of young men, it's pretty awesome. But you know, you know, you still see that football coaches throughout the years have always stood in the gap a lot of times where weak fathers have been, or where there's been no fathers. You know, or if it's the Bear Bryants of the world, or you know, if you like Nick Saban or not, man, he has a lot of influence on a lot of young men for years.
Amen.
And you know, they've done,
Roll Tide.
most of them's done pretty good, you know, and you know, the Johnny Majors of the world, and you know, you can go down the list of great football coaches that poured into their folks. You know, some of them got a little crazy at times. The Ohio State guy there, Woody.
Hit the guy.
Hit the guy.
Michigan on Michigan. Woody.
Yeah.
Woody Hayes.
Woody Hayes, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, but you know, that's,
I'm old.
but when you start looking at
live.
yeah, it was on national television. You know, he didn't stay around very long after that. But you know, when you start looking at all statistics, man, on fatherless homes, you know, like 85% of children with absentee father get involved with crime. 70% of fatherless homes have dropped out of high school. 70% of them.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, children living in fatherless homes are 4 times more apt to live in poverty. That's 400%.
Yeah, man.
More. Girls raised in fatherless homes are 8 times more likely to become a teenage mom.
Yep.
You know, 85% of children living with their parent, father experience behavioral disorders. You know, you look at what's going through our society today, and there's just a huge gap that fathers fill in there for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I come from a broken home and had a great stepfather. And my dad he was there sometimes. Sometimes he wasn't, because he lived in Seattle, you know. You know, I got to talk to him on the phone a little bit, you know, and see him once a year. But, you know, there's always, you know, those things can go 2 or 3 ways. We spend a lot of time talking about that's one of the wounds that men suffer from, is an absentee father. We talk about that in Men of Hope. And, you know, when you get talking about all that stuff, all these negative things that come out, if you start looking at our society and what we're being plagued with, here's the root cause of 90% of our issues, if not all of them. And there was one of them about 80% of fatherless homes are apt to go to prison. Yeah. That's a lot, man.
Prisons are expensive.
Yeah.
It costs more to send somebody to prison than it does some to college. You know that? Isn't that strange?
Yeah. It says teens with a stable fatherly presence are 75% less likely to become teen parents.
Yep.
75%. So, you know, there's numbers out here that go out here, you know, that we just we got to think about that. And of course, I don't believe there's no such way to legislate anything about that. That just comes from
common sense in a way. I think, like, can I throw my 2 cents worth in?
No, please do, man. Yeah. I ramble all day.
Y'all heard the old thing, you know, this kills me. I guess I'm old, and I hope I don't get no backlash. You heard that baby mama thing.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, baby mama. I go, you already know what's coming down the line for this kid. You already
right.
know. You already know.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I coach youth. Where'd you coach at?
I coached Smyrna.
Well, I coach Una.
I remember Una. Yeah. we never played them when I coached, but they.
Yeah, I coached. I started at the boys' club, and I went to Una. But I'm like you, the kids that didn't have the dads there and the moms dropping them off. You always wonder, and probably good little kids. How are they doing? I wonder how they're doing now. You know,
right.
it just makes you wonder. But
I see some of the ones I coached on Mobile Patrol, and I see some of them were. You know, I have Paris Gaines was on our thing. You know, he's the captain of the Navy football team. You know, and just a stellar guy. You know, and I was same team. I seen a couple of kids on Mobile Patrol. You know, so it's there's a gambit. You know, it's not a perfect thing, but you know, you can tell Parrish had good parents, and these other kids, they were drop-off kids. You know,
that's exactly. I took a kid home once, man, and this is baseball. I did a little league too.
Yeah.
And Mom said, "Hey, I ain't got a way to get him home." I took him home, and there's 2 people out there in the driveway washing cars.
Yeah.
Never again. But our big thing when football was, remember Carlton Flat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would bring Bubba Miller and them over there. They would put on clinic stuff. They would recruit over there.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I had some that I had, but I wasn't the head coach. I was the head coach at the boys club. I was over there. There was such an organization going on. I was assistant coach, but my son that passed away, he was their big thing. There's one Brickwood Academy was wanting him. He ended up being he was like 290 when he passed away, and he was just talented, quick, strong, just get protested all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, especially we got divorced. I brought him to Smyrna to play for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Coach would go get him because I could go get him, and but that was. But anyway, not getting off of that, I did see that from being, like you said, when you coach youth, you kind of see who's going to do good, who's not going to do good.
Well, you mentioned your stepdad. When did he come into your life, Mark?
Probably when I was right around the first grade, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
So he went to the ball games and took you to the ball games, that sort of thing.
That's good. Well, you know, that's a different time back when I was a kid. You know, man, that's what I told my wife. I said, I'm not for sure. My parents never went to a practice of anything that I was aware of, you know, and nobody else's parents did either. You know, I just wasn't, you know, you went to school and you went to practice and you played. They come to the game on Friday night, and that was about it, you know. So some of this, there's probably a little bit of overkill on parents being involved. There can be too much parental involvement too.
They wanted,
they call them helicopter mamas and different things like that. But
why did you play Mike?
That's right. You don't see them you know, we had parents we'd see at championship. We hadn't seen them all season. They'd show up at championship. Why didn't my son playing more? Where you been? Who are you anyway? You know, what are you doing here?
Well, it is a serious issue. You know, the one thing I've seen in politics all these years is, you know, I see a lot of lobbyists. You know, you've heard me share on there. There's a book of lobbyists, like 58 pages, 6 people per page, and not one of those people are lobbying for these issues. Mm-hmm. Zero. Nope. And anybody, any haters, you're welcome to fact check me. Any professors out there at MTSU, fact check me. And man, I have a theory that people want to keep it like this. Prisons cost a lot of money, man.
Well,
you know what it costs to incarcerate a juvenile? It's like $200,000 a year. Think about that.
Wow.
Your tax dollars, $200,000 to incarcerate. We're down. You see what happened with
you know when that happened, don't you?
With Core Civic, the Attorney Center, the prison riot today. They were down last year. The system, TOC system, was down about 1,000 officers. Meaning down. They were lacking 1,000. Now I think it's got down to about 575 last time I checked.
So when the privatization of prisons came about in the 80s and early 90s, they started passing laws that kept the jails full. And it hadn't changed. Somebody's making money off this. Yeah. And you go look at it, we lead the world, like you said, in per capita incarcerations. We lead the world in it. That's not a good thing.
That's crazy.
That's not a good thing to lead the world in. You know, there should be something better.
And fatherless.
And fatherless too.
You know, but it's so amazing that our country can be so successful in so many areas, but then we lack in these other areas.
Well, there's a big gap. I think we come back to the why we have fatherless homes, because we have men that have never been taught the responsibility of being a man. Or they don't figure it out till they're in their 40s and they've had 3 or 4 kids or 7, 8 kids, however how many it is.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, you can track most of this stuff back to probably post-World War II, Korean conflict. Somewhere in that area, free love caused the problem, okay, in the 70s and the 80s. And you go back and study history, that's when the downfall of the family started, you know. And, of course, our LBJ in the 60s and his great social experiment caused the downfall of the black family, because they were If you go back and look at the statistics of black families back in the 60s and late 50s, they had a better success rate on, they had a lower divorce rate.
Oh, yeah.
They had stronger families. They had everything. And the federal government stepped in trying to make things better and screwed it all up.
Oh, yeah.
And once again, don't believe a word I say. Go study your history books and go look at it. Don't believe nothing I say.
Well, being my age, I remember that. I mean, being my age, I mean, there's some guys still real good friends of mine back from the old Hilltop, you know, up there. Yeah. And all those guys went to school with them when they started integration and all that, the segregation and all that stuff. But man, I'm still friends with them. But they, you know, they had parents, you know, go home, like, you know, had to be home certain time and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like nowadays.
You know,
I mean, it's white and black. Don't think it's just black. It is white and black.
You know, it's interesting. I got I got a text this morning, and guess I'm gonna see if you knew who texted me, wished me happy Father's Day. One of y'all. What guy that y'all kind of know that's around me, young guy, that texted me this morning before my own sons did.
Jeremy? I don't know.
Nope. Marvin, my assistant.
Oh, Marvin.
Yeah.
I love Marvin. He's an awesome guy, man.
Young African American out of Memphis.
Awesome guy, man.
And going to law school. Real proud of him. Works for Office of the Courts, and he'll be a judge. He'll be a judge one day.
Yeah.
It may be 15, 20 years, and but it was really touching for him to send me a text before my son did. Both my boys did later.
Yeah.
But it was like bam, 8:00. 8:30 this morning, happy Father's Day.
Well, Marvin's a good guy, man. He's rock solid. He's been in my office, and I've had several conversations with him over the years, and he's a rock solid guy, man. There's nothing. I don't see any chinks in the army for no man.
Well, how do you when you look at mentors? Because you know, when I was growing up, I didn't think I never thought about mentors. You didn't think about a mentor, but you had a mentor in a sense. It may be that coach, maybe that teacher. It may be, like I was talking about, Mr. Rakes.
Just somebody who's your advocate.
Getting on to me. And Sally Walls, you know, a female mentor, if you will, who was a mentor for a lot of us. But, you know, I had that HR 131 House Joint Resolution trying to bring some awareness to this. And I had several lawmakers that wanted to stand with me. One shared a story about a coach at school. He considered a mentor, and he got to talk about his coach. Mark White, chairman of education out of Memphis, talked about his. He was on a mission trip, and he wrote a book. He wrote a book about this, and the book is titled "May I Call You Daddy?" And he was on a mission trip, I think to Honduras, and he said, "Man, these folks were so poor. He said it was a dirt floor hut, and they were helping a family and." Said a little girl that, you know, kind of just tagged along with him, didn't have a father. And that's what she asked him, "Can I call you Daddy?" And it really touched him, and he ended up writing this book. And then another lawmaker, Representative Michelle Renault out of Signal Mountain, sweet lady, and I asked her, I said, "Do you want to?" She was standing with me. I said, "Do you want to say a word or two?" And she's like, "No, I'll get upset. I'll break down." And then finally, she talked about her heavenly father. So I don't really know the relationship with her father, but she just said her heavenly father kind of filled that void. And then here's the climax, man, was Representative Antonio Parkinson out of Shelby County, out of Memphis, African American and former firefighter and Marine. I don't want to say former Marine because
I was a Marine. Yeah,
they'll get mad. I learned that the hard way. But he spoke and talked about when he was a young guy in high school. He brought a gun to school, and it was loaded. And he had plans to take a guy out, and really a powerful speech. And he said someone, I guess, spotted the gun and intervened. He said Sheriff's Department picked him up, arrested him, took him to jail. And I guess someone intervened again. I don't know if it was a coach or a teacher or a Marine recruiter, and he went in the Marines, and it turned his life around. He said, man, if it wasn't for somebody intervening, catching that gun, he'd probably be in prison right now. But if you go back, even if you don't care about people, because I think there is an element of our culture that does not care about people. They don't care about helping others, but they got to care about the money. You got to care about the fiscal impact to the taxpayers, because you're writing checks for this stuff, whether you realize it or not.
Unless you're on the dole getting.
Unless you're
skimming off the top,
this stuff, or
and that's a whole other United States.
Yeah, a whole other discussion. But he gave a powerful testament and him and I have fought a lot. Me and him, we've had some big arguments on the floor, and
well, it goes back, I think, to the simplicity of this thing. Jesus says the 2 greatest commandments are what? Love God with all your heart and all your soul and your mind, and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
That's hard.
Well, it is hard, but you think about it. If we're to care about everybody the way that how Jesus is intended to, a lot of this stuff would probably go away because there'd be more people stepping into the gap. There's some people that have issues with kids and they don't need to have kids, and they do anyway, and there's problems, and people step in there. Stepfathers don't get enough credit around the world. They take, my granny says, you take on another man's kids, you take on another man's problems. And there's a lot of truth to that, and I applaud every stepfather. Somebody stepped in and raised other people's kids. That's very admirable, man, and I'm very appreciative from my end. But
now, your folks, are your dad and your stepdad still around?
No, my dad died about a year and a half ago.
I was thinking he
passed about a year and a half ago.
What about stepdad?
Yeah, stepdad, he's still kicking. He lives up Smith County, and but that's but having people that step in and care enough to discipline you and things along those lines are just, that's probably always one of the things I told my children. I said, I'm going to discipline you to you self-discipline yourself. Yeah. And that's where we get into parenting, But
you got a good boy. He's good. He's a good
I'm
kid.
proud of my son,
Works hard.
He's got a business. I think he told me they're mowing somewhere between 125 and
What's he doing with all that money?
He bought him a boat yesterday. I remind him the 2 happiest days of a boat owner's life is the day he buys it and the day he sells it. Yeah, and that's him every year. You buy him one, use it in the summer, and then turn around and sell it in the fall.
He's
the smartest guy.
Even the Flintstones talked about that. There was an episode of the Flintstones, and he was talking about they got a boat. But Barney got a boat, and they had all kinds of trouble. And I always remember as a kid, the happiest day is the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Boat stands for break out another 1,000 too. By the way,
you, man.
I'm a stepdad too, and the way I looked at it, I really thought about this when I married my wife. She had a little 3-year-old. I remarried. I was married 10 years. First time I had 2 boys, and second time I was like, oh Lord, about the stepdad. I'm thinking, I'm wondering, I'm gonna treat him like I expect my kids to be treated.
That's right.
Okay. And mine, he done pretty well, didn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah. You want to talk about it? Give him a shout out.
No. He's elected official.
Oh, awesome, man.
Yeah, but he's. But anyway, I give you a hint. He's talking about
his name.
Yeah, it's Jimmy Richardson. That's my stepson. Yeah.
Shout out to Jimmy if you're listening.
Yeah, and also, but he was talking about Marvin going to Nashville School of Law. Well, Marvin didn't realize that the assistant dean there was a friend of mine.
Oh,
I mentioned to her, I go, he go, yeah. I go, her dad, late dad used to be my assistant coach when I owned my business in Nashville. I used to sponsor and coach the softball team, and that was Sonny Gray's granddad who they ended up being.
Oh, yeah.
Sonny wasn't even around yet.
Oh yeah.
But Sonny's mom met him. Sonny's dad at a softball tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a Spring Hill or Springfield or somewhere like that, where it's playing one.
Spring something, right?
Yeah, Spring something, but something Spring, and that's where she met him.
Yeah.
She would follow us around.
Connor, let's take a quick break, and folks will be right back.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum. Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale Store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com. Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
At Dr. Automotive in Smyrna, from oil changes to major engine and transmission repairs, we've got the cure for your car. Let's hear from customers of Dr. Automotive.
He does a good job. He lets you know what's going on and doing it at a good price.
Danny does a lot in our community, so he's very involved and invested.
I recommend family, friends. Danny is spot on because he'll suggest what I need to do, and of course, I've never had an issue.
For quality care you can trust, visit Dr. Automotive in Smyrna. We've got the cure for your car.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter, Andrew Farr, a call at 615-490-5715.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey everybody, my name is Marcus Manise. I am the founder and executive director of Strong in My Father Youth and Family Services. Our organization is designed to help young men growing up in homes with our father have a better chance at a better life and a better opportunity. Our organization is preventative, so our goal is to prevent kids from going to jail, juvenile, but live out the purpose that God truly has designed for them. For all information on our organization, if you're looking for a mentorship program and your child is between grades 2nd through 9th, we encourage you to go to our website, stronginmyfather.org, for more information. Sign up to be a part of Stronger Sons Mentorship Program. And then we're hoping that this program continue to help your son live out the true dreams that God truly has designed for them.
A conversation, Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. We're going to play this clip from the Tennessee General Assembly House Joint Resolution 131. This is what I was talking about with Representative Chris Hurt, Michelle Renaud, Chairman of Education Mark White. Here, I wanted to play with, and all of them are powerful testimonies, but I think Antonio out of Memphis, to me, is what really was the strongest. Can you set that up, Connor? Okay. This is Representative Antonio Parkinson out of Memphis sharing his, I guess you could call it a testimony, Mark, testimony. Yeah, so. Sure. Y'all listen in. This is Antonio Parkinson out of Memphis. Speaker's going to be Representative Parkinson, if that's okay.
Representative Sparks, is this a presentation? Representative Parkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank Representative Sparks for bringing this legislation. You know, I just buried my best friend, right, Pastor Ricky Floyd, who had started this mentoring organization called the Husband Institute, where he brought young boys in and he would teach them and show them and give them the tools that they needed to grow up to be men. I myself grew up without my father, and I thank God for the United States Marine Corps, because it was my drill instructors that really imparted that information, those tools that I needed to grow up to be a man. And I remember what those days were like, absent that father. For the first 12 years of my life, I had a stepfather in the house. And when he and my mother separated, our entire household went to hell in a handbasket, honestly. And we experienced homelessness, homeless 3 times before the age of 17. And dealing with those decisions, because I did not have that fatherly guidance, at the age of 14, I was arrested in my high school, second period class, taking my algebra finals, because I was going to shoot to kill 4 other kids. And it's 70% of our inmate population, they come from fatherless homes. Thank God, by the grace of God Almighty, he had his hand on me, and he sent the right person to those principals to tell them that I had a loaded gun in my pocket sitting at that desk. And that saved not only my life, but the life of 4 other high school students in that high school. But had there been a father figure in my house, all of that would have possibly been avoided. This is important. Fathers are important. And we have so many policies and different things that alienate the other parent in the lives of these children. And so again, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Representative Sparks, thank you so much for bringing this resolution.
All right, that was Representative Antonio Parks, and I appreciate him doing that. Because it's a subject that very few people seem to want to talk about. I don't know if they're scared for the political correctness, and if you think about it, man, I think a lot of the battles we face really are Ephesians 6:12, man. The spiritual battles. I've been attacked. I've been called homophobic, Islamophobic, racist. I mean, the list goes on. And really, all those attacks have really kind of helped me. Because if I wouldn't have been attacked, I wouldn't be talking about this very thing today. One of the things that was pretty cool, and some of y'all know this, was the main protester at MTSU. Me and him become close. We became friends, and he ended up becoming my intern. And he was he was a hell raiser. He was one of the alphas, and we still get along today. And I think that was the connection. I got to talk to him about Amazing Grace and history, and first black lawmaker come out of this area. Well, old Jefferson, where Rogers' family is from, and Charles Jones is from. But we got to reach these young people. And I know there's folks like you, Mark. I know there's teachers, there's coaches, there's police officers, and there's others that are doing that. We had a few guys on the radio here recently. I think Marcus Manise, he come on with us to talk about fathers, and a couple other groups, and one of the guys at Patterson Park spoke. But that's what I like about you, Mark. I mean, Men of Hope, your vision to start that. You think about the lives that you've already touched right there.
Well, I don't know if you remember, you might have heard we're doing it, but we have a Young Men of Hope that started back in March. So we've got a group of 6 young men right now that and Jeremy's one of them, by the way. Yep. He's been to every one of the things.
Good.
Yeah. And, Dan's got something good going on.
Dan McAnally and Todd Graff is another one. And there's, 7 or 8 of the guys from Men of Hope that go out and help do different things. They've learned how to change tires and change oil, and we led a barbecue class a couple of weeks ago and taught them how to do
I wanted
barbecue.
To do that one.
Yeah.
You should have showed up.
Just tips.
I missed it.
Yeah, it was, we just did it for them. But, they get together weekly, and, it's just, you got men that are willing to step in these gaps and help out, and teach man skills to these young men. And, it's not all about Bible thumping and doing that. That's part of it. But at the same token, it's really about bonding with other men. And, we got away from that somewhere down the line. And that's because we learn from the people that come before us.
Yeah.
And if we're not listening or not watching or not getting,
what's the best lesson your dad or your stepdad ever taught you think?
I don't know, so many of them, that's a hard question, because.
What's one that stood out?
Well, all of them are, do the right thing. I know it sounds simple, but do the right thing, and and I took it just about 3 or 4 steps further. I read this book called Raising a Modern Day Knight by a guy named Robert Lewis. Very great book. But that's kind of where I got the man definition from, a man rejects passivity, accepts responsibility, leads courageously, and expects a greater reward
What's
from
that
God.
scripture that you I should know it because you mentioned it.
You talking about the one about when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child? That's in 2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 Corinthians.
Go ahead.
I should know that by heart, but I know the verse. I don't remember. I'm not a good numbers guy like that. I can tell you what square root of something is, but that's
well, Roger, what was your dad ever drilled in your head back in the day that a life lesson?
Like I said, I guess I come to one. Several families come back then. Our dad, the whole time my mom and dad never had no really trouble. It was 5 kids, but he did die pretty young. At 56, and I was, he didn't get to see any. He saw my first 2 grandkids. I missed that. But he was a deacon church. Was raised in a church. I know you probably don't think. You see me there. This guy don't know nothing. I don't really. But anyway, if we did wrong, we got our butts busted.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
We did, man. And you didn't want to get that butt busted because I think
it might leave a mark sometimes.
And I never got any kind of, in my life, serious trouble. I mean, I know right from wrong.
You used to get caught.
No. Some little things maybe, but I'm talking about stories. Yeah. Oh, that's your story. That's your story. You're trying to throw it on me.
Here's that scripture.
1 Corinthians
13:11. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
That's right.
And my heart breaks when I see these young guys get arrested, and it's like, man, I mean, some of the things they do, and people don't realize. It ain't like it was when we were growing up. You could do dumb things, and it would probably just you wouldn't get. But today you do dumb. It's going to stay with you the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's right.
And wish we could invest in the intervention. I know there's folks that's trying to do that. Jeremy, do you want to share anything about your father?
Yeah, he's a fantastic man. He's still in my life. He was at. They always go to church, but took a picture I just posted on Facebook, just giving a shout out to my dad. He's, even though he's not my biological father, he's still who I call dad or father. He's took it upon himself to teach me things as I'm still getting older. It's one of the things I said in my post. He's still teaching me life lessons as I'm getting older. And as I'm getting older, a lot of adult things I got to start doing. Paying bills, paying rent. It's not fun.
Adulting sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But every time I got a question for him, he has an answer in him, and so I'm just applying that wisdom that he gives me.
I got a nice text just now. Ironically, I got one from Dan McAnally earlier too. Happy Father's Day, and Rob Mitchell, thank you. A lot of Tony Campbell, a lot of these guys sending me messages. But Bernard Salandy, a lot of folks know Bernard Salandy. He's a big old boy like you. He's like 6'3", from New York. I think from the Bronx.
So he's New York.
Yeah, and I think before that, I think he was from in the Caribbean island. What are they called?
Jamaica, one
of those areas.
Dominican Republic,
Bahamas, I guess.
Bahamas, yeah.
But he sent me a Happy Father's Day. But Bernard and I became friends when I was on the county commission, and he shared something with me that was really kind of touching. He lost a daughter of his got killed in a car wreck. She was going to Tuskegee University. He had to come down and find what hospital, and it was down there. and he had to travel to hospitals. I remember him telling me this story, and just him and his wife brokenhearted and having to locate the daughter. And Truman Jones, the sheriff at the time, told him, he said, "Hey, I want you to head up his jail ministry." And Bernard thought, jail ministry? I'm not walking around here with no Bible. I don't really talk about this stuff. And then he thought about it. He was like, there's 850 men in here that I could witness to, that I can talk to. And I know they're big time over capacity right now, and jails are expensive, and the county's going to have to build one next few years. It's extremely expensive. But shout out to Bernard. I was hoping Bernard, if he's listening, would call in. Him and Tony Campbell are real close.
He'd have a captive audience, right?
Who's that? Oh yeah, he does have
prison ministry.
But I had the former I forgot the guy's name. The former the guy that had William Cope's position at the workhouse. I remember he come on the radio with me a few times, because we've talked about this stuff going back 18, 20 years, and I know it sounds funny. He said, "Man, I met some of the best people in jail." And he would tell me that. He said they either got a drug problem, they made a mistake, something happened. He said, "I met some of the best people."
Well,
they just
everything that you talk about, the reason, once again, you go back to the reason why they're in jail is basically the same reason. They don't, we don't have Bibles in schools anymore, but we have them in prison. So go figure, why are we that way? Why are we taking, and this all started when I was in about the 6th grade. Roger's probably out of high school then. I don't know. You ain't that much older than me, but I think you're older than me.
Well, me and you are the same age, man.
Yeah, I'm 58.
Yeah.
But they took, when I was a teenager when you was born.
Yeah. When they took prayer out when I was in the 6th grade, they quit letting us. We started having a moment of silence.
Yeah.
But I remember us getting up, and it was a big thing when I was in elementary school. We got to pick a verse out of the Bible and read it to class.
Daily devotions, what we called
daily devotion, and then we had a prayer that was over the loudspeaker, and we said a pledge to the flag.
Yeah, that's what we did.
That was how we started that. It put God and country before everything else.
Yeah.
And we've gotten away from that in the last.
I never had that.
We got generations.
I had the moment of silence, but we never had like that daily moment of prayer before school. But
you remember this one though? The drills they used to have, you get on your desk, so if a nuclear attack comes, you'd be safe. You remember doing that, where you get up under there?
No, he probably did that.
No, we didn't have that. We had the tornado drills. We get in the hallway. Get in the hallway and put your hand over your head. That's gonna protect you from a tornado.
But there are some. You look at the spiritual realm, which. Some people don't understand what I'm talking about. Ephesians 6:12, they understand that, but a lot don't. But man, you look at the chaos, whether it's Los Angeles, you look at what potentially could happen. And Antifa. I was sharing this at the GOP office yesterday. Antifa was in front of my house. About 5 years ago. Woke up my neighbors. I was with General Haston in California, touring NTC with the 278. But that night they woke up. The neighborhood at 4 a.m. But I was talking about the potential for violence, just yesterday at the GOP office. And thank you for GOP office for putting that together. And Leader Lambert was there, and I was talking about this. And guess what? I got a text about 30 minutes later. Those lawmakers shot. One killed up here in Minnesota.
2 different ones shot.
Yeah, wife killed.
Yeah, they're funny. It's funny. Without getting political too much, it was a Democratic appointee by the governor. Yeah, Tim 2 different governors too. He'd been appointed twice, and then it's a long story.
On a private
security firm.
They ain't even caught the guy yet, have they?
They know who he is though.
Man, hats off to that police officer that had enough discernment to go check on that other lawmaker. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Oh, is this the whole Minnesota thing?
Yeah, he's seen the guy on the front porch after he'd already shot the others.
Yeah.
But
and he was posing. He was posing as one of them too, wasn't he?
Yeah, posing as a police officer.
Had lights on his cars and everything.
That's crazy.
But your Bible verse in Ephesians 6 verse 12, it says, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places."
Yep.
As you see everything that's unfolding here in the recent news and everything else, it all comes from top. Yeah.
Right now, look at Israel, little bitty tiny countrysides of New Jersey, and all that's in prophecy. Whether people like it or not, it's just read the Bible. It's in there. Mm-hmm. And Persia is Iran.
That's right.
So, anyways, I've been praying for world peace the past probably 3 years. You know?
You know something, I kind of, not getting off subject a little bit. You know, you said those Antifas at your house. You know,
Yeah,
of course your
6
mom,
of them, all paid. I heard it was 25 an hour.
If you was there at home, how would you have handled it? If you had been home?
Man, I don't know. I mean, maybe God had me not, because I had a warning. An attorney called me.
I know how you can get.
You're
if you
probably
get
you're a
out of
target,
shape.
man. They're up here. We hear it from police officers up here. Be careful. Sam Davis Home's a target. And I laid out my life insurance policies to my wife. But my wife, I was really proud of her. She
I
handled
can
it
get you
good.
another one of them too, by the way.
Well, but you can. You hook a brother up. And,
he can hook you up.
Yeah.
He hooked me up.
But here's the point I was making at the GOP office. And folks need to wake up, man. Wake up, because this stuff is real. I'm the only one that they've ever come after that in Rutherford County. It's really kind of a badge of honor. But when you see people shot and killed up in Minnesota that hold the same position I do, it is kind of taxing on your on your family, But they never once emailed the office. Think about this. You're gonna make a change, you need to at least communicate. And they never emailed the office, never called, never set up a meeting. They're paid, folks.
Yep.
And when you have this is different than what our forefathers went through. When you got folks like George Soros and big money funneling these people to go and cause chaos, folks, this is a huge threat that we need to wake up to.
What keeps him protected, I wonder?
Who's that?
Soros. I mean, Soros. What keeps him?
Because here's what the police done when they come to my house. They just run them off. They never cited them for disturbing the peace. They never got the driver's license. You'd think it's like, okay, who are these people? Are they going to be at Joe Blow's house in Kentucky? Is there violence? And at least you've got 6 people here that you've got a record of.
They don't even know what they're protesting for.
You could have had a big bunch of guys out there one of them barbecue things meeting. They not know it. All y'all come out like everybody come out like, y'all got a problem out there? What would have happened? I mean, I'm just thinking what would have happened if you would have been there. I just wondered.
Well, kill them with kindness. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Anyways, but these are important issues. Mark, Lewis, thank you for coming up. When's Mental Hope meeting again?
Well, we're going to, on Friday night, July the 4th, CR at our church, we're going to have a barbecue.
CR, Celebrate Recovery.
Celebrate Recovery. So we're going to have a barbecue dinner for for them, and we're going to have Men of Hope, and you bring your wife along. There's going to be a man and woman giving their testimony, husband and wife giving their testimony.
And
so
where's Hope Fellowship located?
It's located at 1429 Lee Victory Parkway in Smyrna. It's right off the interstate there.
Yes. All right.
And,
Thank you, Connor.
August the 2nd, Sam Davis home.
That's right.
7:30 a.m.
Breakfast. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jeremy. We'll catch up next week. Thank y'all.
you.